On the afternoon of March 20th, 2021, deputies were called to a quiet home near Stratford after reports of a horrific shooting inside the house. When officers arrived, they discovered 3 family members dead at the kitchen table, all killed within moments of each other. Investigators soon learned the violence erupted after a tense argument inside the home. According to court records, the suspect became enraged after being told the victims were not leaving the property. What happened next shocked even experienced detectives. In less than a minute, the entire family was gone, and the man responsible would later admit to firing additional shots to make sure no one survived. But as investigators began questioning him, the case became even more disturbing. The interrogation revealed a chilling mix of anger, control, and emotionless detail that turned this small-town tragedy into one of Missouri's most haunting family murder cases. This is the interrogation of Jesse High. If you enjoy real interrogation cases, subscribe to Interrogation Vault. I may not have a huge audience yet, but even a little support from you gives me the motivation to keep going. Let's dive in.
Kind of tell me what happened, like, because I'm kind of walking on the back end. I'll be honest with you, I do know a little bit about what happened, but not much. So, Jesse, kind of tell me what happened.
I shot my wife and her mom and her stepdad. Cold-blooded murder this afternoon.
Okay.
Shot them each twice in the head.
Okay. Well, that's about as straightforward as it gets. I'll go ahead and ask you, I mean, why'd you do that, Jesse?
I lost my temper.
Sure. Okay.
Wife had back surgery last week, Friday.
Okay, and so before we go any further, just so I have all my details crystal clear, what was your wife's name? Tanya. And I believe your last name, am I pronouncing it right, Huey? Huey, does she have the same last name as
Yes.
Huey, and that's H-U-Y?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember what Tanya's date of birth was?
October 13th, 72, if I'm not
72.
mistaken.
Okay, so then there was, you said 2 more people that were involved. What was the next person's name?
Linda, and I don't know how they spell their last name.
Okay. Do you know what it is, though? And if you don't know, that's fine. What's
I don't know.
No, that's fine.
I'll tell you.
What was his name?
Ron.
Ron. Okay.
Yes.
And just so I'm clear on that, Linda and Ron were Tanya's parents.
That's correct.
Your in-laws.
That was Tanya's biological mother and her stepfather.
Bio, and he's his step. Okay. So you said, before I interrupted you, you said that Tanya, a week ago, had back surgery.
Yes.
Okay.
Her mom and Ron live in a RV.
Okay.
They decided that they were coming to Missouri to support Tanya
Sure.
in her recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't get along with her mom, and never been like, hadn't been like outward friction there, but I stayed away from them. Don't want them in my life. I don't want to be in their life,
Right.
And so what ended up happening is her mom moved in on me, and Ron would just come and show up at the house whenever and just walk right in through the door. Now, bearing in mind, that's my place, and I'm the one that pays the bill on it.
Right.
So I felt pretty disrespected.
Because it sounds like they would just show up and invite themselves.
Well, see, when Tanya and I got together years ago, her mom and Ron pulled this shit before, where they just show up kind of unannounced and stay.
Yeah.
Which I don't agree with. I don't think you do that. I wouldn't do that to my own family.
Sure.
That's no social grace there at all. You understand what I'm saying? You don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
But they did it again, showed up. And, bearing in mind, my wife has just had lower back surgery, and I didn't want to make it hard for her.
And so did that surgery that she had, I imagine, being a back surgery, that it probably laid her out, she probably couldn't walk, or is that not the case?
She, at the very first, she was walking, I had to help her get down in her chair. I had to help her get up out of her chair. I had to help her get into bed and swing her legs in for her and stuff. Her mom couldn't do any of that.
Yeah.
Her mom's got a bad back and bad stuff on her. So, her mom was basically just there for moral support, I guess, because she wasn't able to physically help her get up or get down or anything like that. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
And so, over the course of the week, I'm watching my wife improve, where she's able to get up and walk around, go to the bathroom by herself without help, and all this kind of stuff. And Linda wasn't making any. There was no indication they were going to leave at all.
Really?
And I had talked to Tanya more than once that I wasn't happy about the situation.
Mm-hmm. So tell me how those conversations went.
Well, I told her, I said, I'm not happy about this. I ain't going to live like this. Mm-hmm. I said, they need to go. I am here. I offered to cook her anything she wanted. Her mom, like I said, wasn't able to physically help her do anything.
Yeah.
And like I said, I felt intruded upon. I felt disrespected. And, I pay the fucking bill on that place. So that gives me some say. Granted, she's on the note too. So, Linda came in and burrowed in like a tick and just pretty much made it obvious that she wasn't going anywhere. And she knew very well that I was not happy about it, because when I talked to Tanya probably Wednesday, and I left the front door open. Her mother was in the kitchen right there, and I left the front door open so she could hear every goddamn word. Okay.
Did they ever approach you about that?
No.
Okay. So earlier you...
And Tanya just basically told me, basically she was just going to do what she wanted to do, and the way I felt just didn't matter.
So kind of disregarded your feelings.
Exactly.
We're going to stay here anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you mentioned earlier that it sounded like that Linda and Ron came here from an RV out of state.
Yeah, I think their home state, I believe, is Louisiana, but they travel around in their RV.
Is that like a retirement thing, or are they homeless? Or
no, retirement. And as far as I know, it's parked up there in Stratford at the RV place. So you're probably going to have to let somebody know that ain't nobody coming to get that today.
Sure. So their RV is at the RV park in Stratford.
As far as I know.
So how did they get to the house there, or your house?
They were driving my wife's car, and then they had a little tow behind that was sitting there in the driveway.
Okay. And what, just so we're on the same page, what your address, I believe, is on 249. What's the...
4486.
Right. And they were driving Tanya's car. What kind of car did Tanya drive?
It's a RAV4. And they were also driving their car.
And what was their car?
It's a little Ford Festiva.
And the Ford is what you were calling their tow behind?
Yes, they were towing it around with their RV and using that to drive around in, park the RV.
And then do you drive a truck? Or
yes.
What kind of truck do you have?
F-150.
F-150. Okay. And I apologize for not asking, but Jesse, what do you do for work?
Well, I was a construction worker, and then my hip and my knees and my low back went out, and I haven't been working.
Okay, so are you on disability, I guess?
No, I'm not on disability.
Okay.
The doctors I went to go see, I had carpenter's insurance, and the doctors that I had to go see through that insurance really didn't do nothing to help me.
So, Jesse, it sounds like a lot of kind of stressful stuff's been happening, because obviously you have your own medical issues, and then your wife had that, which is a pretty invasive surgery about a week ago.
Yeah.
So that's kind of putting her out. Then you have your in-laws come in. And I know that can be stressful for anybody.
I said, I kept it pretty calm and cool for several days there.
Yeah. So throughout the
week,
week,
and as I'm watching my wife improve, I know at this point, well, Linda was no help to her from day one.
Uh-huh.
Linda couldn't help her get up out of her chair or set her down or swing her legs into bed or nothing. She's basically just there for moral support. Okay?
Sure.
Give me a Diet Coke, make me a chicken sandwich type of thing.
Yeah.
And like I said, I let it go for several days knowing that my wife is hurt and, you know.
So tonight, when this incident happened, specifically, what led up to this?
Well, I had gone out and visited some friends and went and had lunch and stuff.
Okay.
And when I come home, they were all gone. And I looked around the house, and it kind of looked to me like Linda may have picked up her stuff, like maybe she got the hint and left.
Right. Okay.
And I was actually upstairs talking to my dad about the whole situation.
And your best guess, about what time did you get home from having lunch?
Oh, it was probably 4:35.
About
Something like
4:30 or
that.
5. Okay. And you said you went out with some friends.
I just went out and visited a friend of mine.
I got you. Okay. All right.
And like I said, come home, and it kind of appeared, looking around the house, that maybe she had picked up her stuff.
So something I heard about the house, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like there's 2 levels to the house.
2 levels to the house.
But you cannot access the top floor and basement. Is that correct?
No.
Okay.
You gotta walk around.
Okay. So did you and Tanya live upstairs or
No, we
downstairs?
lived downstairs. My dad lived in the modular upstairs.
Okay. So your dad upstairs did.
My dad's
anybody else?
86, got
Okay.
Alzheimer's and dementia going on.
So did you guys kind of help take care of him too?
Yes.
Okay. So he lives upstairs by himself then?
Yes.
And then did anybody else live there other than you and Tanya?
No.
Okay. Any other RVs or trailers on the property that people lived in?
No.
Just the 3 of you?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, so you said that you got home from lunch, looked around, and it appeared that they were gone. And then you went upstairs.
The cars were gone. I looked around. I didn't see Linda's stuff in the bathroom, toothbrush and whatnot. I thought, well, good.
Yeah.
Maybe she's finally got the hint, and they're going to go on about their way.
Okay.
And I was upstairs talking to Dad about the whole situation.
And what's your dad's name?
Harold Henry.
Okay. And so you were talking to your father.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Dad has known what's been going on all week because I go up and I spend time with him, talk with him, and I generally cook his dinner for him and stuff like that.
Sure.
Check on him several times a day.
Sure.
We got walkie-talkies to stay in contact, type of deal. And anyway, while I was up there, I see him roll in, and I went down there and I walked in, and they're all sitting there in the kitchen.
And this is downstairs.
Downstairs. I walked in and I said, Ron and Linda, you need to leave. And my wife said, they're not going anywhere. I'm half owner of this place. They stay here as long as they want to.
Mm-hmm.
So I went outside, I got my gun, I walked back in, I shot them all in the head. Then I shot them all in the head again to make sure they were down.
Okay. Where'd you get the gun from?
I had it in my truck.
Okay. Do you usually keep a gun in your truck?
Yes, I do.
What kind of gun was that?
9mm.
Do you remember the brand, make, model, any of that?
Jimenez.
Jimenez. And you said that's a Jimenez 9mm?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a black or chrome?
Silver.
Or about silver in color? Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I might have heard that prior to law enforcement arriving, you unloaded it and put it on the tailgate of a truck?
I did.
Okay, so it sounds like you confronted Linda and Todd and told them to leave.
From the time that I lost it, it was under a minute. Everything was over.
Okay. So where was Ron at when you shot him?
Sitting in my chair at the table.
Sitting in your chair at the table.
And when I told them they needed to leave, they didn't make a move to get up. They looked at her and decided they were staying.
They just ignored you.
And that's when I decided, all right then, because I warned her earlier in the week, and I told her I was very unhappy about this, and I said, if you're going to make me go off, and if you do, this is on you.
Yeah.
And this is what she got for it, She made me go off, and now there's 3 fucking dead people. It was over and under a minute. You know, I didn't start off with a handgun. That's where it ended up.
Yeah. How long was it till you called 911? In between the time that you shot them and called 911, what was the time frame there?
Couldn't have been more than a few minutes.
Just a few minutes.
I come outside, and I seen my dad coming down there, and I told him, do not go down there, get your ass back up in the house.
Did you tell him what had happened?
Yeah.
Okay. So what was it that you told him?
I told him I just shot him.
How did he react to that?
He was heartbroken, of course.
Yeah. Who was the first one of the 3 that you shot?
Ron.
You shot Ron. He was in your chair. Did he see you coming, or
yeah?
What did he say?
He started to try. First, he looked at her, and he started to turn his head to me, and by then, I got him. And Linda was all fucking surprised that I just shot Ron, and I shot her in the fucking head.
Did either one?
And then I turned and I shot her in the head.
Yeah.
You know, I warned him. I fucking told him. I guess she decided to call my bluff, so here we are.
Did any of them get anything out verbally?
Nothing more than a little bit of a squeal. Like I said, it was all over real quick.
So they didn't have time to even say anything?
I shot them all 3 in the head, and then I shot him in the head again because I thought I seen him twitch, and I heard her gurgle, I heard Linda gurgle a little bit, so I went and put another one into her, and then I come back around to where Tanya was sitting, and I shot her again in the head to make sure she was done.
How long had you and Tanya been married?
I don't know, 5-6 years.
5-6 years. You know, I gotta ask Jesse, how are you feeling right now?
I'm upset, you know.
Sure.
Like I said, I didn't start off wanting to do this. I never wanted to do this. I feel like they pushed me to the point that I had to do it. So
you've given me a very understandable story about what's going on the last week, but specifically, can you kind of tell me like what has really specifically been happening between you and Linda and Ron for it to lead up to this? Like what kind of exchanges have there been between them?
I haven't had no exchanges with them. That's the point. I don't like them. I don't want to be in their life. I don't want them in my life. That's what the whole fucking problem was.
Okay.
They pushed themselves into my life.
Had there been any threats back and forth on their side? Nothing? No threats or
no,
anything like
but
that?
I did tell Tanya earlier in the week that I was really unhappy with the way this was going, and I wasn't going to put up with it. And if she persisted that, you know, it was going to be on her, the consequences would be on her. And I guess she decided to call my bluff today.
Okay, and so when you told Tanya that the consequences would be on her, did you elaborate and tell her what those consequences would be? I didn't. Did she ask or anything like that?
No.
So it was kind of open-ended? Yep. Did you know what you were meaning at the time?
No, I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew it wasn't going to be fucking good. And here's the deal. You know, I'm a veteran. And generally speaking, most people that know me know when I say that I will do something, I will absolutely do it. Don't try me out because I'll do it every damn time. Take me serious when I tell you something, you know, and they did not take me serious. So this is the consequence of that. Now I've killed them and ruined the lives of, you know, their family, and I've ruined my life. I don't need a lawyer. I know what I did, and I know what I did was wrong, but the truth of the matter is I couldn't stop myself from doing it. It happened so fucking fast, I couldn't stop myself from doing it.
Have you had episodes or any sort of...
Yeah, I've been PTSD ever since I come out of the war. I've been dangerous for a long time, and I've been able to maintain and not get into trouble.
Sure.
I mean, you check my record. I ain't got nothing on me. You know, I haven't done shit.
Sure.
But there's been 100 times over the years that I've gotten really close to being in serious trouble and was able to resist the temptation of letting go. This afternoon, I was pushed to the point I could not resist letting go.
Sure. So again, not to drag you through it a bunch, but just it's very important to me that I have everything crystal clear exactly like how it happened. So I just want to make sure that I'm getting your story exactly how you're telling it to me. When you walked back in the house, Ron was in your chair. He was the first person you shot.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the second person?
Linda.
Linda. And where was Linda at when you shot her?
Well, when I come in through the door, Linda stood up.
Okay.
Ron's
was Linda at the table as well?
She was at the table as well. They were all three at the table.
All three were at the table.
Yes.
Okay. So you shot Ron, then Linda stood up.
Linda stood up and squealed, and I shot her.
Okay.
And by that time, Tanya had stood up and squealed, and I shot her. And then I went back through and I shot them all again to make sure they were done.
Okay. And how much longer did you stay in the house after you used the gun versus when you walked outside?
I didn't. I walked out.
You just walked straight out?
Yeah.
And then you said that Harold, or your dad, came outside and you told him.
He was starting to walk down there, and I turned him around and said, "Don't go down there.
Yeah.
Go back up to the house."
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds like you told him, again, that you had killed
Yes.
the three people.
I did.
And did you have to keep convincing him to go upstairs, or did he listen to you and just go
He
back?
pretty much listened.
Okay. All right. And then I'm assuming at some point deputies came and put handcuffs on you.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, your guy Beatles,
Uh-huh.
y'all better watch that one. He's got a mean streak to him.
Okay.
Just to let you know that.
Okay.
I mean, I realize I just killed 3 people, but I also fucking called you guys and turned myself in
Sure.
without fighting.
Okay.
So there was no need for that shit that he pulled.
Okay, we'll look into that. And then I'll tell you, Jesse, it's to me personally, it's my intent to treat you fairly. And if at any point you feel like I haven't, stop me and we'll address it.
Right, well, I'm telling you that he didn't treat me fairly, but I understand that's the way he is.
Okay.
That's why I'm telling y'all, yeah, you better watch that guy.
Okay.
You're going to have problems with him.
Okay. Well, is there anything else that you think is important for me to know about this situation or this incident, or any backstory? Anything else that you would like to tell me?
You know, really, that's all that you need to know about the whole thing. I mean, you know what? This has been brewing for a week here, and you know, like I said, she moved in on me Saturday last week, and I have really bit my tongue, and I've tried to stay away from them. But every time Ron would show up and just walk through my door, that, you know, like I said, I'm the one that pays the mortgage on the place. I really felt pretty disrespected. I wouldn't just assume that I could go to anybody else's house and just walk through the damn door.
Sure.
You don't do that.
Mm-hmm. How long did you and Tanya live there at that house in Stratford?
Oh, we've been out there for, I don't know, a couple of years or better.
A couple of years, okay. And has Linda and Ron stayed with you guys in the past for an extended period?
Like I said, when we were first together, Linda showed up, and they kind of just showed up and, you know, bam, here we are, and
Sure.
we'll leave when we want to leave type of shit.
Sure. Okay.
You know, the point is I knew that if this is the way it's going to be, that these folks think that they can show up and walk in my door anytime they want to and have no regard about how I feel about them being there. You know, I knew I wasn't going to put up with that.
I can understand that.
Not when I'm the guy that's paying the bills on
Sure.
the place. You know, and like I said, it started out, I was trying to take it easy on Tanya because I knew she was in the process of healing and all that stuff. I didn't want to make it rough on her.
Sure.
But as the week progressed, it became apparent to me that Linda had no intention of leaving.
Sure.
And, you know, Tanya had no intention of asking them to leave.
So, yeah, the situation you described to me, it does sound incredibly disrespectful, them coming in the house like that. But I gotta ask, I mean, did you feel like you were in any type of danger physically from this?
No.
No. Okay. All right, and I do appreciate you being candid with me and honest. Jesse, I'm going to step out of the room just for a moment. I'm going to go talk to one of my supervisors, and then I'll come back in and we'll finish up here, and we'll walk through, you know, what's going to happen here, okay? Do you have any questions for me right now?
I don't.
Okay. I think I got some. So a couple other things I would like to go over with you and again, this is just so I have the most crystal clear picture of what happened, because I want to make sure everything that I report is accurate and, come from you, and I don't want to get down the road and then you read a report and you're like, well, that's not what I told them. I just want to make sure that we're same page here. And when we talked about them showing up and inviting themselves into your home, in disregard to how you felt, that's something that I think is important here. And, something...
It doesn't justify what I did, all right? I know that. Sure. I can't help it. Sure. I didn't want to murder 3 people today, okay? I lost it, okay? I didn't have control over that. I know what I did was wrong.
Sure, Jesse, this is the first time
I had no control over it. I mean, when I snapped, okay? Like I said, I know it wasn't right, okay? And I'm not trying to say that them forcing their way into my home and doing that justifies what I did, because it didn't.
Sure, and Jesse, clearly, by what you just said, a mistake has been made, but I'm not going to sit in here and berate you for it. I'm just trying to get the whole story. Yep. So I'm not going to sit in here and judge you and talk down to you. That's definitely not what I'm trying to do. So just some other questions I did have about kind of the facts here is, how in the past, when they have come, about how many times do you think, if you had to put a number on it, your best guess that they've shown up and have entered your house and things like that, beyond this week?
Show up and stay one time earlier on.
And about when would that have been? This year, last year?
No, like 4 years ago.
4 years ago. Okay. And then you said that their RV, which, do you know what kind of RV it is by chance? Okay, their RV is at a park in Stratford.
As far as I know it is. I don't know.
So this week, when they would go to bed, do they stay at your place?
No, her mom stayed at my home, and Ron would go to their RV because they have dogs.
I got you. So they likely have
And then Ron would say, sometime during the day, he would just show up and let him in, walk through the door and go sit in my chair at the table. And, if I needed to walk through there, he wouldn't get out of the way kind of shit.
Yeah. Sure.
I just had enough, okay? I had enough of it.
Sure.
It wouldn't be a good idea for you guys to put me with anybody, because now that I've murdered 3 people, I ain't got nothing holding me back. Don't put me with someone. It's probably not going to be a good idea if you do that.
Well, I can certainly...
I'm telling you I'm dangerous, and it would be a bad idea for you to do that.
Okay. Well, we'll make sure that message gets passed along, because I don't want to see anybody else get hurt.
Like I say, I just killed 3 people, so another one ain't going to fucking make a difference to me now.
Okay. But I can tell, though, that, again, we know a mistake's been made, but I know that if you could take this back, you would, right?
I would like to. I wish I could take it back, but on the other hand, I really wish I hadn't been put in that position.
Sure.
I've been waiting a fucking week. I've got a personal code. If someone disrespects me 3 times, then I'm gonna fix that problem.
Sure.
And I've went way over the 3 times this week in an effort to try to make this work. And this afternoon when I walked in, I wasn't loud screaming at him, wasn't trying to fight with him. I was very calm. I just said, Ron, Linda, you guys need to go.
And then when you said that, it sounds like Tanya then said, this is out of my house, and
they're not going anywhere.
Now, when she said that, did Ron and Linda jump in at all and say anything?
They just looked at her to take their cues from her.
Okay.
And I looked at them, and they made no attempt, no movement to get up and leave. And I lost it.
Sure.
And I walked outside, and I walked back in with a 9mm, and I put them all on the fucking ground.
Okay. So it sounded like you told me that you guys had been there in Stratford for give or take 2 or 3 years. and you guys have been married for, you said 5 or 6 years. Had you been married before?
We married in
this?
15.
Married in
Yeah,
15.
I've been married 3 other times.
3 other times, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have any kids?
Yes, I do.
How many kids do you have?
I got 2 kids.
2 kids. Are they are they here in Missouri or somewhere else?
One of them is, and one of them's out east.
Okay. Would you like us to get in contact with them, or?
No.
Okay. All right. What about your ex-wives? Are they local or somewhere else?
One of them's local.
Yeah. What's her name?
Kathleen.
Kathleen.
I think she's got her maiden name now. Candelora.
Do you know if she lives in Springfield or
She lives out by Boat Ark.
Boat Ark? Okay. And when were you married to her?
Before Tanya.
Right before Tanya?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I was married to her for 14, 15 years.
Okay. Something that I can, appreciate, and again, I'm not trying to sound like a smart ass at all, but you said you were in the military, so I would like to say thank you for your service, because that does mean a lot to me and everybody else, and something I want to address with that. You said you do have some PTSD, or you have some issues.
I've had
Sure.
them since I got out of the desert.
What branch were you in?
Army.
Army. And when did you get into the service?
Went in 88.
88.
Yep, I went through Desert Storm.
Yeah.
Served with the 2nd Armored Cavalry.
Yeah.
Out of Germany. And ain't been right since got back.
Mm-hmm.
I've been treating it by smoking marijuana and drinking.
Sure.
Trying to calm me down. And up to today, it's been working.
Yeah. Have you ever been in contact with anybody from the VA, like counselors, therapists, anything like that? Is that something you've ever considered or thought about?
Not really, no.
Okay.
Every experience I've had with Army doctors has been bad, so they ain't never done anything good for me.
Yeah, I've unfortunately heard a lot of other people in your situation.
And that's why I wouldn't go to
same
them.
thing. Yeah. I have family members myself that had a lot of issues with the VA. But, you talked about some other issues you've had. What kind of other medical issues do you have other than, have you been diagnosed with PTSD? No. Okay. You said I apologize if I'm misremembering, but I think you said you had a bad hip.
Got a bad hip, got a bad knee.
Hip and knee.
My low back is tore up. Got arthritis in my low back.
Okay. Do you have any other heart conditions, diabetes?
Diabetes, yeah.
Okay. What kind of diabetic are you?
Take metformin. Well, I used to take metformin.
Yeah.
I haven't had insurance for a while. My carpenter's insurance dried up. Tanya didn't want to put me on her insurance. She worked at Cox, and she didn't want to put me on her insurance. And I was really not wanting to go to the VA because, like I said, every experience I've had with Army doctors has been bad.
Yeah.
And so I ran out of medicine, and I haven't taken anything for a while.
Sure. So, granted, I know that she was recovering from a back surgery, but before that surgery, was Tanya still working? Or okay. And you said she worked at Cox?
Yes.
What did she do for Cox?
She's a nurse. Cox North at the mental floor, adult psych.
Sure. Okay. And pending everything, I guess, healed up or everything went good with the surgery, was she planning on going back to work?
Yes.
Okay. Because of your things that you got going on, you're not able to work. What did you do for work before you had to stop because of your injuries?
I was a union carpenter.
Union carpenter. Mm-hmm. How long did you do that for?
6 years.
Yeah. Did you work like local, or would you travel for that kind of stuff?
I did end up traveling.
Yeah.
For them.
Mm-hmm.
Before I went in the union, I owned my own business doing doors and hardware, and before that, I worked for non-union shops all over town.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Jesse, I think that that gives me a pretty good picture of what happened. I can tell you that be honest with you about this. We have another detective right now writing a search warrant to go into your house, because anytime, as you can imagine, we have a scene like this, it's standard that we go in and we do the best investigation that we can. Is there anything in your home, upstairs or downstairs, that you think that would be harmful to deputies? Any weapons or narcotics or anything that...
There's probably some weed around. There's probably some moonshine around.
Yeah, other than weed and moonshine.
There's knives.
Okay.
I have a knife collection.
Yeah.
There are guns.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And if you see a gun standing in my house, it's loaded.
Sure.
So
we treat all guns like they are loaded anyway, so... Okay. Do you keep any other guns in your truck, or just that one?
Nope, that was the only one.
Okay. Okay. So I think you said you shot them each twice, so you would have fired six rounds.
I'm pretty sure I shot 6 times.
Okay. Do you know how many rounds that gun holds? Probably a little single stack magazine.
I think it'll hold probably 12 or 13 or something like that.
And you fired 6 to the best of your memory. Okay. Well, Jesse, I think that's probably going to be all I can think of right now. In a case like this, as you can imagine, there might be tomorrow, later tonight, whenever, there might be some other things I'd like to talk to you about. Would you be receptive in the future to come back over here and have a conversation with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I do appreciate that as well. I'm going to step out one more time. Again, anything else you can think that you'd like to tell me, or any questions you might have? Okay. All right. Well, hang tight. I'll be right back. We will go over everything one more time, and then I'll tell you kind of what the next step of this process is going to be. But before I do that, I'm going to kind of run through everything, and you tell me if I'm getting anything wrong. And if I am, stop me, correct me, and I'll make sure that I get it exactly how you tell me. But one thing I didn't get was, I did hear that you went out with your friend, then you came home, and that's when everything happened. Tell me how this morning went, leading up to you going out with...
It was a good morning. I was outside with the dog most of the morning, staying away from them.
Because I know that Linda probably would have already been there, because it sounds like she
was there. Yeah,
did you see Ron this morning too?
No.
So you didn't. So the first time you saw Ron was when you saw him in your chair.
I don't think he was there this morning before I left.
Okay.
No, I don't think he was.
Okay. So about what time did you guys get up today?
Probably 6.
About 6. Okay. Is that about when you usually guys start your day? Okay, so you got up around 6.
5:36 usually.
Spent some time with the dog, it sounds like. And then
we made breakfast. Like I said, spent most of the morning outside trying to stay away from them. And then, I don't know, probably about 12:30, I went to town and went to the tobacco store, bought some tobacco. I went and had lunch. And then I went over to my friend's house and looked at his house and his doors and stuff. And then I came home.
Okay. All right. And you didn't tell me earlier, to kind of help with some pain management, you said you use alcohol and marijuana. Have you used any alcohol or marijuana today?
Yes.
Okay. How much have you used today?
Not enough.
Not enough. Okay. And I would like to ask again. How much alcohol did you drink, if you had any?
I did have some.
Was it beer or liquor?
It was that moonshine.
The moonshine. Okay.
I make moonshine.
Okay. All right.
I did make moonshine. I'm sure I will not be making any more moonshine.
I'm typically, from what I understand, people keep moonshine in mason jars. Would you have had more than one jar, less than a jar?
I probably didn't have a cup of moonshine today.
How much marijuana did you take today? Or smoke today?
Smoked a bowl.
Smoked a bowl. Okay. On a typical day, is that about what you usually do? Yeah. Okay. All right, and that's to include.
I smoke pot every day, but I don't drink moonshine every day.
Okay. Would the moonshine have been prior to you leaving your house?
No.
Okay. So when did you do the?
When I came back, I made myself a drink. And it was a big mug, big like a stein.
Yeah.
And it was ice and mostly tea and a little bit of moonshine in there. So nowhere close to drunk.
Okay. All right. Well, Jesse, we'll just go over everything one last time real quick, and then we'll go ahead and end it. You woke up around 5:36 today, spent some time with the dog, had breakfast. Seemed like it was a good morning, and then you go off. You leave the house to do some chores.
I needed to get out of there, and I was trying to de-escalate this fucking thing.
Yeah.
And get away from it for a little while. And like I said, when I come back and I noticed their cars were gone, I come in the house, I'm looking around the house. Like I said, to me, it looked to me like Linda had collected her stuff up.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, great, maybe this is over with.
Sure.
And while I was up at my dad's talking to Dad, I noticed them pull in. And I was like, damn it, I just can't get a break, And I was really hoping that they had all driven back. I was really hoping that Linda was going to get in the car with Ron and they were going to leave, because like I said, it appeared to me that Linda's stuff had been picked up. I mean, she had a bag of stuff in the bathroom with her toothbrush and whatnot, and she had her stuff kind of all over the house by then. And like I said, when I come in, I looked around, it looked to me like she had picked up. I thought, well, praise the Lord, she's left.
Yeah.
This is over with. And sure enough.
Okay. And so you went inside and you said to Tanya that Linda and Ron need to...
I didn't say that to Tanya. I said that to Linda and Ron.
Okay.
With Tanya sitting there.
But then Tanya addressed you, answered for them.
Yes.
Okay.
She said,
Gotcha.
They're not going anywhere.
Gotcha.
I own half of this place, and they're not going anywhere.
Okay.
And I lost it.
You went out to your Ford, got your...
From the moment that happened... For me to walk out, grab my gun, and walk back in and put them all on the ground was all under a minute.
Okay. And they were all sitting at the kitchen table. You shot Ron first.
Ron was sitting there when I shot him. By then, Linda had stood up, and I shot her. And by then, Tanya had stood up, and I shot her. When
Linda stood up, did she make it any sort of a distance away from the table?
No.
You got her right there at the table. Same thing with Tanya. Did she make it away from the table at all? Okay. After you shot them,
I shot all of them in under 10 seconds.
Okay.
I probably shot them all under 5 seconds.
Okay.
And then took another 5 to shoot them again.
Did you move them at all after you shot them?
I didn't.
So where we're finding them
Where you're finding them is exactly where they landed.
Okay. Did you pick up any of the brass shell casings? No. You left all that?
I walked out, and I was going to try to call my sister to tell her to come and get Dad.
Yeah.
And got voicemail. I didn't leave a message. And I turned right around and called 911.
Okay. And what kind of cell phone do you use? Or
it's a Samsung.
Is it like a smartphone?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there like a passcode or a PIN code to get into it? Okay. All right. Did you and Tanya ever get in arguments on text messaging? Did you ever text or anything like that?
Yeah, we texted.
Okay. Did you guys ever get into it on text or talk about Linda and Ron through texting or anything? No. Okay.
So that was face to face.
All that was face to face. Okay. Did you ever talk to Linda or Ron on the phone or text them at all?
Very little.
Very little.
Her mom would text me or call me. Like I said, I didn't like her. I didn't want to be around her. I didn't want to share my life with her. I just wanted her to leave me alone, was basically where it was at.
Sure.
And she couldn't fucking do that.
So something that I know that some people might not understand about this is it makes perfect sense how Ron and Linda were getting on your last nerve, and you said, like you said, you snapped, you made a mistake. Why did you include Tanya in that? kill Tanya as well?
Tanya had every opportunity to stop this. I talked to her Tuesday or probably Wednesday. And I told her that this shit, how unhappy I was, and that, I was about to pop about it. I was about to go off. I told her, I understand that she's here for your moral support. But this is enough. I've had enough. And she had no respect for what I wanted. Or how I felt about it. She was going to do what she wanted to do, and by today they were making a point with me that they're going to do what they want to do.
You said a few days ago, I think you might have said Wednesday, when you brought this up to Tanya, did she kind of tell you as much as she did today about how...
Oh, she pretty much, told me she's going to do what she wants to do.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's when I told her, you keep pushing this, you're going to get what you get when I go off, and it's going to be your own damn fault.
Did you and Tanya ever get into arguments about other stuff? I know all married couples get in fights once in a while, but did you guys ever get into it about anything else other than her parents?
Sure.
Well, what kind of stuff would you guys get into it about?
She was pretty disappointed, when my hip and my knee and my low back went out and I couldn't work anymore.
Yeah.
She was pretty disappointed about that.
Yeah. Did any of those arguments become physical?
No.
Okay, so she never brought any violence on you?
No.
You never brought any on her?
No.
Any verbal threats one way or the other?
No, not really.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's going to be it. And again, Jesse, I really do appreciate you sitting in here and being cordial with me and helping me understand what happened. It does mean a lot, and I'm going to document everything we talked about in the report, and I'm going to document it just like you told me, just straight up facts. And, that's why it's important to talk that way. I'm not having to speculate or guess about anything. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to walk you over to the jail, and I'm going to come back over and work on what's called a probable cause statement. And I'm going to send that probable cause statement to the Greene County Prosecutor's Office. And once I get that to them, they'll review it, and they'll decide if I have probable cause to believe that you committed murder today or not. And depending on how they review that, there might be a warrant issued for your arrest, which point would be a bail or a bond. Obviously, you'd already be in the jail, but that's going to be kind of the next part of this.
I really don't expect to be bonded or bailed out.
Sure.
I know I ain't going anywhere or doing anything ever again.
That's just the procedure that every single case goes through.
Let's get on with it.
You've been straight with me, so I just wanted to be straight with you. And,
I appreciate you.
And let you know exactly. Before we do go next door, did you have any other last minute questions?
I don't.
Okay. Well, I might end up taking you up on a future conversation if that's something that we think we need anything else. Otherwise, I'm going to step out one last time, put my stuff back on my desk, and we'll get you next door.
Okay.
Jesse Huey was formally charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder and 3 counts of armed criminal action. On January 13, 2023, he pleaded guilty to all charges in Greene County Circuit Court. He was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, along with additional consecutive prison terms for the armed criminal action charges. He is currently serving his sentence in a Missouri Department of Corrections facility, where he will remain for the rest of his life with no chance of release.